brothers and sisters, friends and families. I hope you're well. How are you doing, Hannah?
Assalamualaikum.
I
I am very well. How are you?
alive, thank you. Miles away from the UK still in America, as you know. I'm hoping to make it back
Of course,
if I
of
can
course.
swim. If I can swim fast enough, I should be able to make it back on time.
Well, I can see that you are looking forward to coming home.
I am indeed. I've been here for too long, actually.
Good.
How has it been? Has COVID things settled down? I haven't kept in touch with
No,
UK
no, no.
situation. What do you mean?
We don't know. We don't know. We are waiting for our wonderful government to make a statement soon. They haven't changed anything since we left, so
Did you change?
we're
Just
just
a quick
waiting to
question.
see
Your
what
camera
happens.
is very faint. Your camera is not very sharp. Did you use the camera that
I
I
am
have
using
given
the
you?
same camera. Yep,
You-
the same camera from last
You're
week.
using because last week it was very sharp. It was very good. For some reason, this week your camera has gone very. You're looking not pixelated, basically.
I don't know what's
Anyway,
happening. Do you
ladies
want
and
to stop
gentlemen,
and we can start again?
no, if you can select the right camera, maybe it hasn't selected the external camera, but it's selected the internal video of your computer.
Let me see. Maybe this is better.
Yeah, there you go. Sorted it out very quickly. Much
Is it
better.
better?
Much better than
Okay,
before.
great.
Still not sharp enough, but alhamdulillah, I'm happy with that. Ladies and gentlemen, salam alaikum. Welcome to our program. Just a little bit of technical glitch before we began. We're talking about love or hate, and love and hate in too much in measure. That's what we're talking about today. I hope you don't love your wife too much or hate them too much, just in case you have to change your mind. If you love them too much, you may not have the space to be able to not love them a little bit less. But either way, it says, saying of the Prophet ﷺ said, if you love somebody, don't love them too much, just in case you need to hate them. And if you hate somebody, don't hate them too much, just in case you need to love them. How are you feeling, and what's your view about this title and the saying of the Prophet? I'm going to open up our conversation before we open up to the floor. I open up to our wide world.
Oh, this is one of my favorite topics. I am a person of extremes, so as you know, I have experience in this, loving and hating too much, and I think probably most of us human beings we do have some experience of being on the two sides of the two extremes of emotions. So, um, but what's your what do you make of it when you see somebody doing loving or hating too much? What's your assessment of that? Let's start with that.
Well, people are commenting about my dress today, suddenly.
Oh,
Aziz Ahmed says, Assalamu
I
alaikum,
can't see
looking.
the comment.
What?
I can't see the comment, so you have to tell us.
Well, Mr. Singh says, Assalamu alaikum. Aziz Ahmed says, Assalamu alaikum, looking very well, bro. Mr. Singh says, Brother Masroor, you looking really sharp, mashallah. Um, it's probably because I'm wearing a tie. That's very unusual. I'm in America attending a wedding, and it's one of my niece's wedding, and the instruction from my niece was very clear. You must wear a matching suit and a matching tie. So everybody is wearing the same
All
suit,
right.
and we're all wearing the same tie. But that was our instruction. And we're us old fogies who don't care about these things. But alhamdulillah, I can't complain. That's why I'm wearing a tie. I don't normally wear ties, as most of you would know. Aziz says, sorry, Mr. Sink says, balance in everything. That's right. Aziz says, latest news, Tottenham beat Crystal Palace 3-0. Carry on. Sorry for the sidetrack. Aziz, you're a terrible influence. No Jahan Chaudhry says, Assalamu alaikum. So what do I make of it? I make of it like this. If I love somebody too much, there will come a time when I will find myself, what's the word? It's a neediness that I am trying to fulfill by loving somebody too much. If I eat too much sweets, I'll get diabetes. If I eat too much chili, I'll get stomach ulcer. If I sleep too much, anything too much in the that's basically what it is. So I
Hmm.
say if you are loving anyone, whether it is your wife or your children, whether it is your parents or anybody else you're dating, don't love them too much. In other words, don't have an unhealthy obsession with your love for them. If it's at the expense of everything else, then I think that's an unhealthy obsession. That's my take. I don't know what we can both have a chat about.
Well, there is a psychological reason for the extremities that we feel, and I think that will be my starting point. Is that what pushes us to be extreme in loving or hating too much? Because I always look at emotions as a kind of pendulum, and when the pendulum is in a healthy balance, there has to be some movement. But when we go way out of the middle path, really literally, this is why we are called the middle nation, is that we don't go extremes. We don't go extreme in religion, we don't go extreme in emotions either way. So when you go out of the too much or too little, um it's an extreme position. It's not the middle ground, and that the balance is actually, it's not an easy thing to hold, because it's much harder to go to extremes. It's much more calling. It's human nature to be. I think it's human nature to go into extreme emotions, and we need to learn. This is what we teach our children when they are born, and I don't think we were taught how to be emotionally balanced and regulated, because the brain itself has to learn the regulation. And if there is no process of regulation, which people end up having anger problems, having all sorts of extremities that come from extreme emotional experience. It's not coming from a balanced emotional experience.
Yes. I think somebody say, complaining about the audio or video, perhaps. Can others confirm if you can hear us and see us and if there is any problem? I'm not sure if I can fix that from where I am. Shahid Latif is saying, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Ajmal Masoor. Good to see you guys, mashallah, living the high life in America. Well, I'm not living a high life in America, I'm just attending a wedding. Though I do like America, I do actually like it here. It's nice. But nevertheless, we are here. Assalamu alaikum. Too much love, feel fake love. We control our emotions. Um, I don't know whether I understand full extent to what you're saying, but too much love could be a recipe for disaster, because what you're opening yourself up to is um, too much neediness. Somebody else needs to allow you the, the feeling of contentment, and it is by extreme love that you manifest contentment. That's a problem. Your description I really liked, which is we should not be swinging like a pendulum from one extreme to the other. We should always strike a balance somewhere in the middle. And that is love ultimately. That you love somebody, but you leave a little bit of space because you may be disappointed by things that they do. You
Hmm.
may feel a sense of letdown, betrayal if you love them too much. In fact, your world may crumble around you because you love them too much, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think what ends up happening is that when we are courting or when we are considering somebody for marriage in Islamic tradition, what we tend to do is we just see all the good things, and that helps us to actually develop a very unhealthy way of looking at things. Whereas if you think about anything in life, I believe has two sides. But we don't learn when we are children how to regulate our mind to see something. So think about children when they are about 2 3 years old, and they start realizing that they can say no to their parents, and then they start arguing. And the minute they don't like something, even babies, we don't like something, we scream. There's an extreme reaction that happens in the brain, and unless we learn how to regulate that, and we are taught how to regulate that, which I don't think can happen before an early age, um, unless we understand the regulation, later on we develop unhealthy obsessions with things, and we go either extreme. So operating in extreme emotional positions becomes the norm for people. This is why you see people going completely out of character when they are angry, or they go completely out of character when they are in love, because they just can't see the two sides of the same coin. They can't see that in every good there is bad, and in every bad there is some good, because it's literally playing and looking at the two sides of everything. including a husband and a wife, of course.
Hisham Wiwala says, reminds me of parents having a hard time letting their children go and become more independent, either into post secondary or into marriage. I can see some parents because they're obsessively wanting to control the lives of their children. Again, a good example of what we should not be doing, focusing on the balance. Children will grow up, you'll have to let them go. If you obsessively love them, you will not be able to let them go. Um, if you are wanting to have, if you want to have control of their life in every way you possibly can, again, you will have problems because children will have independence of their own. They'll have their own opinions, they'll have their own minds, they will challenge you, they will even disregard some of your values. What do you do? What would you do? Aziz has said something interesting. What is the measurement of too much love? It's a good question. What is the measurement of too much love?
Very Very good question. I was actually seeing somebody yesterday, a client who complained that the minute she gets any attention, she's considering somebody for marriage, and she said, the minute I get attention, I just go weak. I forget about myself. I don't know who I am. I just agree on anything, and I accept whatever the man says, and she knows it now. She knows it, but before she didn't. So she got married, and unfortunately she got really badly treated because she could not see the signs from the very beginning of the relationship. And I think it is a very big issue for the community, especially before we get married, because we don't understand that whoever is standing in front of me has faults, and it has another side which I need to understand. If I can live with the other side, then I'm ready for marriage. If I can't live with the other side of the person that I have seen, it's not the right fit, and I should not be putting myself in that situation.
I think the marriage example is a good one because a lot of people are looking for perfection in their spouse. And in pursuit of perfection, something that they've been looking forward to all their life, dreaming about their marriage, dreaming about something that would come out of this extreme dream that they have. When it falls down, for example, I'm at my niece's wedding. She's been dreaming of a wedding, but for COVID restrictions, she had to scale down her entire wedding to a minimum level. It's a great letdown for her, but also it's a reality check. Anything could change. So, love, too much love or measurement of too much love is when it becomes unhealthy, when it is obsessive, when it is at the expense of everything else, when it is actually physically impacting your health, when you are 24 hours a day occupied by that thought, that's obsessive. That's the measurement of too much love, Aziz. And I want you to know the other side of it, which is too much hate. If I hate somebody so much that I can't sleep, and I'm plotting, scheming to do things against them. Every time I see them, I feel rush of blood to my head. I feel palpitation. I feel anger. I feel rage. Too much hate. Again, that's a problem, and we need to somehow find the middle ground. Mr. Sinks, like the name, I feel hate is self-inflicted pain. Someone hating someone is only hurting themselves. If I hated
Yeah.
someone so much, it burned me inside. Well, it's burning me, it's doing nothing to them. I respect my peace. That's a very good point. If you hate somebody so much, you're harming yourself. It's destroying your inner peace. What do you make of that? This is a good point, isn't it? I really like it. Hannah? Oops.
Well, again, it's for me.
Go
Can you
on.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I think it's really about. I think we need to understand that I know from neuroscience is that the brain has the capacity to be balanced, and I think this is how we were born. This is how Allah created us. That we have a capacity to be able to hold the center, which is what it's called. The brain is so balanced that it's not going into either extreme reactions, and to keep that balance is not a given. It's practice. We need to actively practice emotional regulation on almost on a daily basis. So we need to understand what triggers us. We need to understand how our emotions are formed. What are the emotions that are running us? A lot of people are unable to articulate their emotions. They can't name them. We operate within maybe four or I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm tired, or I'm angry. These are the basic things people can identify. But they are not really. There are about 400 and plus words for emotions. We need to be very specific. We need to understand what is the chemical balance of my brain so I can identify which way I'm tending to go. One of the reasons why people don't necessarily succeed in anger management programs is because they are giving you a formula and you're supposed to be doing the formula as it's given to you, but everyone's anger journey is different. Everyone's emotional or depressive tendencies are different. We need to understand where are my emotions formed, what is the journey of my emotions, what is the history of why I am in the loving too much or hating too much, why do I get kicked into either side. And then I need to come back to regulate myself and say, when I see it coming, what else can I do? How can I reset my brain? And it's constant work. It's and one of the reasons why I think prayer is so wonderful and powerful is because you have the opportunity to think about nothing else except you and God. And in that sense, it's when you are down on the floor, you really feel that there is nothing else bothering your brain. There's nothing that is keeping you away except there's this sense of balance. And it's an opportunity to train yourself between prayers, after and before, and in between. How do you keep that state of mind? This is why doing the prayer isn't just doing the action. It's about what's the impact of your prayer after you've prayed.
I want to also add to this idea of love and hate in the sense of it being too much. I know people, I know clients, and I've spoken to you about this, Hannah, where people are unable to go to sleep because they feel their husband or their wife is no longer loving them. If you can't go to sleep because you're afraid that somebody is not loving you, something's wrong. That's not healthy. Your sleep should not be dependent on someone's love. Your sleep is your biological need. I can't eat because I think my husband doesn't love me anymore or my wife doesn't love me anymore. Your food is nothing to do with your wife or your husband. It's your biological need. You can't depend on their love. Your food can't depend on their love. So there are people like that who can't sleep, who can't eat, who can't focus, who can't. The whole world comes to an end. It's like teenagers falling in love. That is unhealthy obsession with somebody. Or somebody is so angry with somebody that they're raging inside. All they see is red in their eyes. They are looking to take revenge. This is the example of where love becomes extreme or hate becomes extreme. Don't love somebody too much. Don't hate somebody too much. This is what I'm talking about. I'm pretty certain you have fallen in love in your life with something that was too much. Then you have to pull back and say, you know what, I can't do this. This is not right. Could be music, it could be
Well,
food, it could be any money, it could be shopping, it could be something that you picked up that you became obsessed by. People do. You have to pull yourself back and say, I'm not doing that because it's healthy for me. I have, and I can give you examples in a minute, but I'll let you give me yours, Hannah.
so you're exposing me first, right?
No, I'm just putting it out there.
Well, I've got a couple of those things. I think for me the loving too much is easier to identify, because loving too much, for me, the symptoms are very similar. It's a kind of obsession. We know it's dopamine. It's irrational. It's something that drives the behavior. For me, it's chocolate. For me, it's Spain. For me, it's good food. It's to an extreme level. But I think it's harder to identify when you hate. You can identify the person or the situation you hate so much, but it's harder to identify what drives that, as opposed to what's loving. Because when you love something too much, it's it's looking for a void within you. Whereas when you hate something or someone too much, it's harder to identify where it's coming from. Loving too much is about the driver is something is missing in me, therefore I have to go for something that will fill that void. It's a much easier concept, at least in my mind. Whereas when there is a hate, we really need to dig deep. Where is that trigger from? Where is in my childhood? Where is in my life that I experienced that tricks me so much, and I tip over it, and I can't get a hold of it.
Hating is, I think, easier to identify because the manifestation of hatred is more tangible. It's visible in your behavior, in your body language, in the way you treat the other person. It's very visible. You just you.
Mm.
I look at another human being as a human being with potential for doing good and bad. If I love something about them, I should be aware that there will be some things about them that I will need to dislike, because otherwise I'm putting them in a pedestal of perfection. If I hate somebody, I don't want to hate them so much because I know they're a human being. There must be something good about them. Otherwise, I'm casting them down to the lowest of the low. It's about that percept. It's about that. It's about that idea. It's about how you perceive a human being. It's about yourself. I say to people, whether you like it or not, every human being has the capacity to do good, bad, and the ugly. The human beings who do good can also do bad. Some of the worst of human beings, when they reformed themselves, they became the best of human beings. And stories are there like that. When a person cleansed their life and became wonderful people, they changed the world. So we should not. And I remember one of my friends, he once said, never cross anyone off. Never cross anyone off. Always think that
Mm.
this person has a potential to offer something amazing in the future. In our relationship context, I want to bring it down to our marriage or marital context. Because love and hate, as we talk about it in the Barefoot Institutes, uh, what's the word? Our particular mantra is to help you manage your relationship. How about you? Do you love your wife too much? Do you hate your wife too much? Do you love your husband too much? Do you hate them too much? Question to you: do you find your love or hatred towards your spouse unhealthy? When you love them intensely. When you hate them, you hate them intensely. Aziz says, doesn't love depend on the receiver? Because the person giving love might think they are doing great, but the person you are loving might not appreciate the effort, whilst for another individual it might be a great effort. So people need to learn to take love and also, Aziz, give love. If I'm giving love to somebody and giving them too much love, I could be drowning them in love, smothering them in love. That's not very good. I know.
Suffocate,
Go on.
suffocate. Mm.
Go on, Hannah. Carry on.
No, no. I just thought about the suffocate and suffocation that people feel often when they are given too much love, um, and how suffocating it could be for some people when they are given something that is normal for the other person. So I think couples really have to figure out what's the measured and balanced level for both of them. They need to actually realize and work on what is too much love that I am uncomfortable receiving and why that is, and what is the amount of love that would actually be healthy. And you need two people for that to discuss, because what might be a natural overgiving for a woman, for example. I remember the first time when you told me not to serve you food. I just didn't understand what's the big deal. I just want to give you food. I made a dish and I wanted to serve you food, and you said no, no, I will do it myself. And it was a very interesting um, thing to ponder over, is that are you refusing my love because I am not giving you food, or you don't want my food, or you don't like my food? All sorts of things can go on in someone's mind, whereas it was just a gesture of love. It still is. And I ask you, would you like me to serve the food? Because I know that it's a gesture of love, for me
Yeah.
at least.
I think just to clarify, people who sit there on their dinner table and food is in front of them and they're waiting for their wife to serve them food. I find that very disturbing. So when you tried to serve me food when I have perfectly capable two hands, I said, well, don't disable me. I'm very grateful that you've cooked. I'd like to help myself with the food that I want. The second aspect of it is how much food I want, you don't know. And I hate people giving me too much food that I can't finish. So your gesture of love could be received by me by my own personal prejudices and my own anxieties and fears. Nothing to do with you. So it's important to understand that
No, no,
when
I know.
I'm just saying to everybody, it's important to understand that when you're giving love and receiving love, it's important to be balanced in giving and receiving. When you're giving, is your giving of love that person's, is that what they really want? And if you need love and you want to receive love, are you really ready to love somebody or to receive love from that person in the way they want to give it to you, or should it be only your way? Because it has to be that sometimes you have to be prepared to accept love. I have to swallow my own fierce independence and say, okay, my wife is doing it out of love, let her serve me some food. It's a two-way struggle. Aziz says, take love as in appreciate and appreciate love. I think the key is identifying what love means to each couple. Correct. I love Spurs, but on the
Hmm.
same sentence, I hate them when they play rubbish. But I always go back to them because my love for Spurs is far greater than hate. I don't know, Aziz. I'm getting the feeling that you love your football team too much and you love them more than you love your wife. I'm getting very worried now. Unless Spurs is the name of your Spurs is the name of your wife. Please clarify. If the same principle of divorce applied in football, I would have had the highest number of divorce with Spurs. But Alhamdulillah, my marriage is less of a headache. It's not a bad thing, you see. People who don't understand that, people who misunderstand the concept of love, they use divorce too often because they think by throwing divorce at their spouse, they're going to keep their love. I'll divorce you if you don't. Emotional blackmail. You can't buy love through emotional blackmail. That also is a sign of unhealthy love. I've experienced it in my
Hmm.
life, not from my wife, but growing up. Emotional blackmail doesn't work because it may buy you love for a few seconds, but you will lose love forever from the life that you have. It's an important distinction to be drawn or be made. Hannah, I want you to carry on while I connect my laptop because I think my battery is about to die. Just, if you don't mind, just carry on while I sort out the
I
practicalities.
Okay, well, I'm not sure what you wanted me to carry on with, but I was having this. I can see the comments if I go on my phone, and some of the comments that come up. Um, I just want to go back to the point of how couples deal with this, actually, this loving and hating too much. And quite a few times we have had couples who come to us either individually or as couples to say that after a couple of years, the emotions that they experience, both love and hate, is very extreme. So some people might be coming to relationships in a fairly balanced way, but then over the years as they live together they trigger each other. They haven't quite managed to somehow work out together what pushes them to loving too much or hating too much, which is where the extreme emotions become present in the relationship. So I think it's one of those learning things, and one of the things that you do together as a couple is to identify your tendencies. You identify, and again, it's something that you learn with another human being. It's not something that you can only just do by yourself. You can do a certain part of this learning on your own. You can, for example, a couple of practical suggestions. You can start understanding where do you give up yourself just to be able to get love. And I know a lot of women, particularly a lot of women have come to me who said that, there is a point I just forget about myself. I would do anything for my husband. I would do, I would go out of my way to make, this relationship work. Before marriage, even before they start the relationship. Can you hear me?
I want to say, I want to give you bad news. I've run out of my laptop battery, and there is no way of charging it because the plug here in this room is not working. But what may I say that maybe we should pause our discussion for today. We've discussed it for half an hour. There's no way of charging Hannah, and my battery is just gone boom down. It says 1 minute before it shuts down. So we will continue this discussion next Sunday. This was just what's the word? Just a teaser. If that's okay with you all, forgive us for shortcutting our session today. Please stay in touch with us by going to our website, barefootinstitute.com/bookstore to buy our books, or info@barefootinstitute.com. You can write to us. Sorry about this, Hannah. I had it plugged into my plug. It's not working.
Okay, so inshallah, we'll hopefully see you next time in person.
Thank you very much. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Really sorry about this. We'll inshallah carry on. Take care.